Okay, Fernanda, as you know, you have 15 minutes to present. After your presentation, you'll have a seat and you'll receive questions by the commission.
Okay.
You can start.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to give you a presentation about my research. It's called The Effect of Translation on Adult Learners' Lexical Competence. First, an introduction. This was for an EFL class made of 19 students. The level was English Intermediate, and I could observe the problem through observations. As I went into the class, I could notice that students were always using their phones to translate the task that they had at hand. So on base of that, I decided to do my research study. So the statement of research problems, I saw this from a deductive way. Looking for a source that could implement what I wanted to apply in the classroom, and saying if this can work here, it could possibly work in my context as well. So from that point of view, we are seeing the use of translation, which includes the L2, the second language, the first language, which in this case is Spanish. And in this journal, it says that translation does not hinder L2 learning at all, but rather assist students to elude the interference of the mother tongue on the first step and then further enhance the L2 learning. So from this point of view, it says that translation is indeed helpful. And based on that, I wanted to try it out on the students. So the statement of research problem, the purpose of this study is to determine the statistical significance translation has in student lexical competence, because this was a quantitative work. Research question was, can the use of translation affect adult learners' lexical competence? The general objective was to determine whether the use of translation is statistically significant in student lexical competence or not. And the specific objectives were to test students' lexical competence and to measure the difference of means between two groups. Because this was a quantitative work, I separated the class in two groups, which were the experimental group, the control group, and the experimental group. The theoretical framework is important to define which are the samples, in this case adult learners. Adult learners are said to have developed ideas, and they are in sync with what the own beliefs of systems. For example, adult learners are different than younger learners in the sense that they have a clear idea of what they know. So they have their own system of beliefs, and to admit that we need to learn something new is to admit that there is something wrong with the present system. This could be represented in the form that they use translation, they use phones. So the system of beliefs that they have inside of them in order to learn a language could be reflected when they were using phone applications in order to learn. They don't have a good base, so I decided to use that in my favor and use what they are already using in order to learn. That is when translation comes, which was the independent variable, because this is something that I can manipulate in order to change the dependent variable. The translation is an operation performed on languages, a process of substituting a text in a language for a text in another. And the lexical competence, which is what I want to change, is the basic synthetic understanding that is necessary to use correct linguistic expressions. The research paradigm is positivism, because I am looking at information that can be measurable, that can be made sure that it's real by more than one person. It's quantitative because I am analyzing data, and it's quasi-experimental because this is a design that was manipulated. It's not randomly. And the procedure is design instrument, apply the t-test, which is the formula that I use for this quantitative method, and reach conclusions eventually. The methodological framework. A scenario and subjects in the study. As I said before, this was English Intermediate, a group of little different programs. There was public relationships, nurturing, and mining engineer. The class was made of 23 students at first, then they became 19, and for the day when I had to retrieve the samples, there were only 2 students, which facilitated the division of the class in 2 groups, experimental and control group. There were 6, experimental and control. So for this, I made them perform a pre-test. In this pre-test, the students were asked to use one of these prepositions and apply them here. If this preposition was wrong, they had to identify the preposition and see if it was wrong or it was right. If it was right, they didn't have to do anything. And if it was wrong, they should use one of the prepositions here. It is important to mention that the prepositions are always followed by a verb that ends with ing. This was part of their units. So I had to test what the professor was teaching them at the moment. So here's the pretest with this activity. Each activity had 2 points. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the end, it was 19 points for the whole test. Then come the post-tests. This was given to the students after the treatment. In this case, treatment was translation. They had to do activities where they had to translate a sentence. This is called translation of literal passage. It was proposed by Brown for the grammar translation method. As you can probably see here, it is the same, but the structures are different. The first one is not the same here. So it has the same exercises, but in a different order, because we're testing the same. So after I gathered the data, I separated the groups. Group number 1 is experimental group, and group number 2 is control group. I separated them to make them as homogeneous as possible. I wanted to make the grades similar. So here you have 6, 7 as a grade average. Here you have 6, is 4, 5. So to make their students to match them with their abilities, given the information that was available at the time, because this was a process, I will speak about it eventually, that didn't allow to gather more specific information. So here we have the results of the pre-test and the post-test, and the difference, which is quite important for the techniques I use to get the results. So first I have to explain something about the t-test. The main objective of this t-test is to measure the difference between means of 2 groups. Why do we do that? Because we want to prove our alternative hypothesis. And we want to reject our null hypothesis. Here it says that our null hypothesis, the difference between means, group number 1 and group number 2, is the same. But here we want to compare that the difference is not the same, that there is a significance. That's, we can reject the null hypothesis and prove this one if the difference between the means is less than 0.05. So that is what I wanted to do with the formulas. As you can possibly see here, this is a t-test. This is the result I got. So, since the significance from the Laverne test of equality of variances, which is something that is given to you automatically, was greater than 0.5, I had to use this. Equal variances are assumed. If this was lower, I would have to use other, where they are not assumed. But since this is greater, I have to use this. And the significance of means was this one. It was greater than 0.05. So from the t-tests, the null hypothesis could not be rejected. That means that there was not a statistical significance for the use of translation in classes. Later I used an ANOVA test. There are lots of information that you can probably see here, lots of numbers. But what we have to pay attention is to the group measure. And as you can probably see here, the significance is exactly the same as the t-test. 734, the same, 734. So from the ANOVA and the t-test, we have the same significance, but this wasn't enough. I wanted to take a third option and measure it with the coherence T. When I carry out the t-test, the program that I use gives you this chart, where you can see the number. There were 6 students, the means of each one, the standard deviation, and the error. This data allowed me to carry out a coherence T using the mean group here, here, and the standard deviation here and here. So I can calculate this, and it gives me these results, which according to coherence guidelines is very low, and it doesn't mean any significance. So the findings after carrying out a t-test and an ANOVA, and later checking that with coherence T, concluded that the null hypothesis could not be rejected, and therefore the use of translation does not represent any statistical significance in the lexical performance of adult learners. Limitations and contributions. A limitation that I could find in this study was the small sample. I strongly believe that if there were a wider variety of samples, not only 6, the significance would have been greater. It was a rush process because the professor was not always cooperative. I had to do exactly what he wanted in that unit, so trying to figure out how to do it was difficult, especially since I had to gather all the data in the same date. That means giving the post-test, the t-test, the treatment, and gathering their grades average, put them in homogeneous groups. And not enough variety of treatment. I mean, I use only the translation of literal passage. I could have used all their activities using translation, and maybe that could have been more helpful. Suggestion for further research in this is to pick samples that have received treatment throughout a period of time in an organic process. What I mean by this is that make sure that next time, if I want to do something similar, it can be not only in the span of one day, but in weeks or months. The cognitive analysis. Okay, so in the research study, I tried out new methods with potential to bring new insights, because in my past practicum, in my past internships, I always use qualitative or mixed methods. So this is the first time that I use quantitative, and I try to bring the potential from that in order to learn more and to be able to carry out better researches. The weaknesses, I did not make sure to carry out a more fitting quantitative analysis or express concerns. I had lots of samples. I think I could have made something easier, not only with a treatment group or with a pretest, but I mixed 2 things that in the end was a little more complicated. And I thought that I was going to be able to do it perfectly, but that wasn't the case. And I was very prideful, because I decided not to comment that with my advisor. And I said, okay, I can do that by myself. I don't need a lot of help, but I clearly did. So in that sense, I did not express my concerns, because I thought that I was going to be able to put it off myself. And the challenge is to study context better before deciding how to analyze means. That is to say, see if the class is going to work, consult with in this case with my professor, to see if this quantitative could have been the best option, or there could be something else that I could have done. And the internships, I consider students' needs, because they were always working with their cell phones and translations. So I decided to make a research based on that. And the weakness is that I did not organize my time well enough. I had half an hour to organize the students and to see their grades average, to put them in groups. And the challenge is to definitely improve time management. And the references.
Thank you, Fernando.